You are now looking at a 2021 Hyundai Santa Fe R2.2 executive front-wheel drive in probably Typhoon Silver. And in this little video, I'm going to tell you all about our attempt to cross Africa on just one tank of fuel. It's not an impossible task, especially if your route is longitudinal, near the thinner southern bits, and your chosen vehicle is a highly refined and efficient Hyundai. Before I get started, it's worth mentioning that this was not an official challenge. Neither the manufacturer nor our publication was attempting some sort of record, but the opportunity presented itself after the first few kilometers of our journey from Somerset West to Morgan Bay, totaling about 1,100 kilometers. Although I had requested a different vehicle for this journey, serendipity smiled upon us when that became unavailable and the new Hyundai Santa Fe was substituted into our itinerary. You see, we've done this exact trip before, about 4 years ago, and it was in a then new Hyundai Tucson. Tucson. Anyway, the Tucson is a perfectly acceptable choice for such an undertaking, especially when fitted with a turbo diesel engine. Other Hyundai steeds I wouldn't have chased off my driveway include the smaller Creta or compact Kona, although the latter is only available with petrol power and considerably less passenger space. This Santa Fe was Hyundai's largest offering up to a few months ago, when the even bigger Palisade arrived on our local shores. We're still waiting to test that one. Where the Santa Fe is available with optional all-wheel drive and 2 impressive levels of luxury, the Palisade is packed with permanent all-wheel drive and more goodies. But back to my little family holiday trip, and I do mean little. With just 2 adults and a toddler, the far rear seats were never raised from their hidey holes under the floor, and even that was never fully occupied with cargo. We could have easily accommodated 2 more kids and 1 fully grown adult with luggage. Perhaps because of our light load, the vehicle displayed some impressive fuel consumption figures almost immediately after we set off. Our projected range usually climbed past 1,000 kilometers. Hyundai claims average diesel use of 7.9 liters per 100 kilometers, but we discovered that it's quite a conservative estimate, which probably includes slow commuting and heavy town driving. Out on the open road, with the cruise control set to the posted national limit of 120 kilometers an hour, we quickly dropped below 7.9 and kept heading south as the Boland towns flew by. By the time we reached the mandatory motoring journalist coffee stop in Maatjiesfontein, the vehicle's comprehensive trip computer was showing an average figure in the low 7s. More importantly, we weren't hypermiling or actively trying to save fuel. All climate and entertainment systems were active and being used as anyone would on a cross-country journey. Yet the numbers kept shrinking, eventually dipping into the high 6s as we hit the dry and dusty plains of the Karoo. On a 67-litre tank, that obviously equates to 4-figure range. And although I was sorely tempted to splutter and cough into the Morgan Bay Hotel parking lot with a beaming reserve fuel light, we eventually chickened out and filled the tank again after 850 or so kilometers. Same thing on the return journey. With just a bit more effort, we could have easily made the trip in one go. Comfort? Check. Luxury? You bet. The Santa Fe has a smooth and predictable ride, fairly agile drivetrain, and its spacious cabin is beautifully finished with high-quality materials. I would have loved heated front seats, but those are reserved for the all-wheel drive Elite model, and we certainly didn't need 4-driven wheels for our expedition. The central dashboard section offers a drive mode selector with comfort, eco, sport, and smart options, but we simply left that in the default comfort setting. See what I mean? We didn't even bother with eco mode. Another advantage over our previous Hyundai companion is that this one had an 8-speed transmission. Those 2 extra gears trumped the 6-speed Tucson's average fuel figure, despite the Santa Fe weighing a bit more. My only 2 gripes about this DCT, dual clutch automated transmission, is that it obeys the lurching DCT parking manners and can sometimes conduct rough downshifts when required by the cruise control. My co-driver bemoaned a modicum of torque steer during full throttle overtakes, but I hardly noticed this as the punchy 140 kilowatt or 440 Newton meter turbo diesel easily pulled us past slower traffic. Some of this sensation could also be attributed to our less than perfect roads and tram-lining tendencies of the otherwise great Kumho 235/60 R18 tires fitted here. 60 series profile on a modern SUV is quite unusual nowadays. Sometimes I think that car manufacturers employ a bunch of 14-year-olds who who design angry-faced monstrosities with massive gills, ginormous rims, and thus painted on sidewalls. Why? Because a Quasimodo SUV would look unbelievably daft with anything smaller than 22-inch alloys. Not so this Hyundai. The more I looked at it, the more I realized how comparatively understated and sensible it is. Comfy tires, simple suspension, a generous window line, hardly any aggression in its design. My only personal gripe is that bizarre rear light cluster setup with the indicators in the bumpers, although other SUVs have that too. Now add an easy-to-use and feature-packed infotainment system to the mix, throw in plenty of storage and charging points, that kick-ass warranty and service plan, its frugal fuel consumption, plus a price of 769,500 Rand for this model in South Africa, and the Hyundai Santa Fe is a breath of fresh air in a world of overstyled, overcomplicated and overpriced European Bose-mobiles. Right, in closing, did I just say that to kiss Hyundai's bum for lending us this car? No, sir. When my last day with this silver press car dawned, I double-checked that everything was in order, gave it a quick wash, and felt genuinely sad as it drove out of sight. Why? Because I would very much like to own one.